Hey, it's Randy from Professional Floor Covering. You're listening to Hometown Today on the 5,000 watt flamethrower on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
The following is a paid program. Advice and opinions expressed during the program are solely that of Junk Garden Center, not WBEV or Good Karma Brands. Welcome back to Hometown Today here on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. It is our favorite day of the week. It is Garden Doctor Day. Dick Zondag with Junk Garden Center is with us until 11 o'clock this morning. Of course, ready to take your calls and help you with what you need help with to make sure that you're doing things the right way in your garden and in your lawn. So certainly ring us up with those questions. The studio line is open for you at 885-4446, and you can also text those questions in at 887-9595. And a thank you to Jeff Hall for producing the Garden Doctor for us today. He's happy to share those text messages with us. And also thanks to Justin the Ninja Wilski, who is behind the camera manning the controls this morning for us in the Daily Dodge TV studio. Good morning and happy Wednesday.
Yeah, good morning, Amy. It's sunny, brisk morning out this morning.
It is.
Yeah.
It feels good, though.
Spring is on its way.
Is it finally?
I think so.
I hope
guess,
so.
Yeah, we haven't passed the last frost date, but it will be pretty soon. And so,
Okay.
If you're planting your plants out there, you have to make sure you've got something to cover them if you're going to do that. But there are some things that you can be planting now.
Okay.
I've got onions in my garden. I planted my potatoes. I've planted the broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and cauliflower, and
Oh, my goodness.
carrots and radishes and things like that are in the garden. So things will be happening soon. So we're doing a video this afternoon on planting potatoes.
Okay.
So got the pieces ready to go, and we'll make the furrow. And I've got a new system that I'm going to be trying out this year. Where we plant the potatoes in a trench and then put compost over them, so it gets them off to a good start. And then we're going to put cardboard down between the rows, and then put wood chips on top of the cardboard, and hopefully keep the weeds down a little bit during the summertime. So we'll see how that works. And there's a lot of interest in gardening that way. So.
Absolutely. And I've done that before with the cardboard, and then we usually put a layer of wet newspaper on top of that and cover it with wood chips. We like to avoid using that black fabric for the weed barrier.
Yeah, and the cardboard does decompose over the year, and then it improves the soil, and then you just either work it into the soil or you just rake it up on the row. And there are some no-till systems where they use that and never till the garden.
My goodness.
They just work up the surface a little bit. And so, I got peas going now. Started some in the greenhouse, so we have some green that I'll be planting out either this afternoon or this weekend, and try to get those peas up and going because they're really, really good.
Yes, they
I had
are.
asparagus last night for supper.
Oh, my goodness. I bet that was amazing.
It's really, really good.
And you like to just microwave yours with a little salt and butter.
Salt and butter, and it's really good.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like it.
No.
Dick Zondag, the Garden Doctor with Junk Garden Center, is with us here this morning on Hometown Today. Certainly ring us up with your questions at 885-4446. And you can also text those questions in at 887-9595. Last week on the show, someone had actually texted in a picture of a plant that they needed some advice on. So folks can certainly do that as well. That was quite the list of everything that you shared that you already have ready to go in the garden. And you mentioned Brussels sprouts. Those are one of my favorites, too.
Yeah. It takes a little while for them to grow, but you get them in early. It's part of the cole crop family that likes to get started and get established in a cool part of the season, and then they grow all summer long, and then in the fall is when you harvest the sprouts, and they're really good.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like them, and you can do them so many different ways.
Yeah.
Everything is good when it's fresh out of the garden.
Yeah, it is.
You had mentioned that you'll be filming that video later this afternoon about potatoes. And for folks that don't know, we want to make sure that they do know. They can follow The Garden Doctor on YouTube and subscribe to your channel. You've been having a lot of fun making those videos to help
we're
folks.
trying to get things so that, people have our products and they're more visual, that we have something out there for them to watch, and trying new things to try to make things easier and better, because I'm a lazy gardener. I don't like to do anything more than I have to do. But
Oh my goodness! With that big
yeah.
list that you named off, you're an overachiever in the
Oh,
in the
no.
garden. You're so modest. Sorry to interrupt, but you are so modest.
No, we just try to do things, and at Jung's we try to have good products at reasonable prices. So, we're not the lowest prices, but we try to have really good stuff. And right now the bare root room is open, and I think there are even some discounts on bare root now. I didn't stop to get them, so I don't know exactly. When you're buying multiple things, we give you a little bit of a discount, and there's still a lot of time to plant bare root. It's really the best way to do it, because you're planting planting the bare root things in the soil that they're going to be growing in. We also have our potted nursery open, so if you want something that's green and growing, we have those available too. But the bare root plants are a little less expensive, because you don't have to pay for the pot and the soil and the growing on for a year or so. And it's just really, really simple. You just soak the roots for 24 hours. You plant them at the depth that they were in the nursery, and then you just keep them watered. It takes about a week to 10 days for those roots to become active. And then once a week, a bucket full of water till the plant is established, and then you can just let her go.
Excellent. That sounds like it should be easy.
Yep, it really is. They don't look like much when you're picking them out of the bins, but they do grow. And we have some bare root roses that are buy one, get one free.
Oh my goodness, that's a great deal.
yeah.
And especially Mother's Day coming up next weekend already. And last week you were talking about all of the different types of hanging baskets that folks can shop.
Yeah, we have the greenhouse open now, and all the garden plants, the vegetables, the eggplants and tomatoes and peppers and all of the cole crops and things like that are available. Even the vine crops, we've got some of those available. But the hanging baskets really put a shine on the greenhouse, because the calibrachoas, the million bells, come in many, many different colors, and they just keep growing as long as you take care of them and put new flowers on. They cover up the old, and they can really look nice all summer long.
Absolutely. And you mentioned roses, and that's a really good deal on some of those that you have at Jung's. The hybrid tea roses, the knockouts, the hardy roses, those are really nice things for Mom for Mother's Day.
Yeah, they are. And by getting a rose plant instead of cut roses, they enjoy it all summer long.
Yeah. And
So
isn't there one variety that you can really, cut to enjoy inside? And is that the tea
those
roses?
are the hybrid teas.
The hybrid teas.
Yeah,
okay.
those have a single flower on a stem, and when I cut the flowers off of my hybrid teas, I take at least a 6 or an 8 inch stem off, because you want to get. When you're pruning a rose, you want to get down to the 5 leaflet leaf, because then you get a stronger bud. And with the hybrid teas, the grandifloras, and the floribundas, when you get a new set of growth, you get another set of flowers.
Oh.
And so by cutting them back and starting them with a really strong bud, you'll get a nicer start back. And same way with the knockout roses, where you're planting them just for the color. They should be uncovered by now. But when they're done blooming, if you deadhead them, just take a pruning shears to them, they'll put on another flush of growth, and that flush of growth will start blooming again. So you get sporadic flowering all summer long.
Oh, that's nice. That's what we want.
Yeah, they're pretty colors. There are many different colors too. There's reds and pinks and yellows.
Nice.
So
Any purples?
I don't think they have a purple knockout yet, but there are purple roses. I mean,
Okay.
there are purple hybrid teas and grandifloras. So yeah, the myriad of colors, and if you do it right, you'll have flowers all summer long. So with roses, you want to keep fertilizing them every other week or so until about the 1st of August, and after that, you want to let them go dormant naturally. So.
Okay. We're going to get you some coffee. The garden doctor,
know.
Dick Zondag with Junk Garden Center, is with us this morning here on Hometown Today. Certainly give us a call with your questions. The studio lines are open for you at 885-4446. And you can also text. Jeff Hall, who is producing for us today, is keeping an eye on the text line at 887-9595. Yeah, you make it so easy, not to be intimidated specifically by roses. I think that is a plant that people do get intimidated by.
Right. I mean, they are a high maintenance plant. It's not one that the hybrid teas and the grandifloras and the floribundas especially, you have to, fertilize them. You have to cover them for the winter. But they really do provide a very pretty yard if you have some in the yard. And so they're not that tough, but you do have to pamper them a little bit.
Yeah, we definitely want roses in the yard more so than dandelions. I know
Yes.
that we're starting to see an awful lot of them.
Yeah, those yellow flowers.
They're fun for kids. You pick them, you
Yeah.
make a wish.
Yeah, I was out deadheading.
So you don't dig them out, you just deadhead them.
I deadheaded them with my weed whacker, and the ones in the strawberry bed got dug out. I mean,
Okay.
they just seem to come up everywhere, and if you want to get them out, you have to take the whole root out. But I'm using row cover on some of my strawberries so that it acts kind of like a greenhouse, and so I have strawberries that are in full bloom right now.
That is
under
amazing.
under the row cover. But you have to keep it there in case we get cold weather, because if it's going to go down below frost, you have to protect them. But the other problem with row cover is the weeds that are there in the fall,
They grow too.
they grow too. And I had some dandelions that were probably a foot high, and the plant itself was probably 1.5 feet in diameter. So
Wow.
they were enjoying that row cover too. So
Yes,
yeah,
they
I
were.
got in there and dug those out. But I also have some of the strawberries that I cover with straw because I want to hold some back. So they bloom later in the season. So I have strawberries over a longer period of time by doing that. So row cover gives me the early strawberries, and ones that I just uncovered with the straw are just starting to grow. And with those, I uncovered them, and then you give them a little shot of fertilizer to get them off to a good start. And so those will be mid-June bearing, where the ones that are in flower now in 3 weeks will be eating fresh strawberries.
Oh, that sounds really good. And those 3 weeks are going to go by fast.
Yes, they are.
The garden doctor, Dick Zondag with Junk Garden Center, is with us here this morning on Hometown Today. And we are going to head to line 1. We have a caller. Good morning. You're on the air with the garden doctor. Good morning, call 1. You're on the air with the garden doctor. 885-4446 is the studio line for your questions. You can also text at 887-9595. We will head back to line 1 for our caller who is waiting to talk to the garden doctor. Good morning, you're on the air.
Hello?
Hello, you're on the air with the garden doctor.
Yeah, I planted 2 different kinds of squash, and I only planted them 2 feet apart. Is that going to be a problem?
No, but the squash, really a little early to plant squash because they don't like to come up in cold soil. So what I would do is put a piece of plastic over them so that the soil heats up, and that way they'll germinate. As far as the fruit is concerned, the squash that you get is determined by the seed that you plant, not by the pollen that pollinates the seed. So The effect would be in the next generation. If you kept seed from that squash, you would probably get a hybrid between the two different varieties. But no, in planting them together, you can plant any of the vine crops next to each other, and they're not going to affect the taste of the plant.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thanks for calling.
And we'll head to line 2. Good morning. You are on the air with the Garden Doctor.
Good morning. Dick, I've got a question of a hickory nut tree.
Okay.
One time someone said you could put some kind of powder on the ground to kill the worms that crawl up the tree and get into the nut. Is this true, or what can I do?
There is a pesticide called imidocopa. It's I think it's called systemic shrub and tree that the plant actually takes the chemical up into the sap of the plant and then will kill the bugs that feed on it. Not sure if that would take care of those worms that are in the hickory nuts, but that would be the thing that I would try.
So what is this? This is a spray you put on the ground around
Yeah,
the
it's a pesticide that you put in water and you put around the trunk of where the roots meet the bottom of the trunk. And what happens is the tree will take that up into the sap as it's going up into the tree, and then if you get bugs feeding on the leaves or on the flowers or the nuts themselves, they will take them out.
Okay. Yeah, and you've got this stuff?
We do have it in the garden center. It's tree and shrub systemic, and it's imidocopa is the active ingredient.
All right. Is your nursery open now? We were over there last Saturday.
Yeah,
And,
8 to 5 Monday through Saturday in Randolph.
Okay.
And
But your plant section wasn't open on Saturday.
I know, and I wasn't very happy about that either. The plants were in the greenhouse, but they were checking them in, and it's open now.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you
And
for the call.
they'll
The garden
know about-
doctor, Dick Sondag with Junk Garden Center, is with us this morning here on Hometown Today, which is brought to you in part by McKinstry's Home Furnishings in beautiful historic downtown Beaver Dam, and presented by Professional Floor Covering Your Floor, and so much more. And in addition to helping you with your floor and your kitchen upgrades, your bathroom upgrades, they can also help you make sure that your garden tools, anything with an edge, is sharp and ready to go at Pro Edge Sharpening Services, a division of Professional Floor Covering. You will find them at the same address, 713 Park Avenue in Beaver Dam. You just go through a different door, Suite D. So you can take in your favorite garden tools, the big stuff, the small stuff, personal tools, commercial tools, your mower blades, saw blades, anything with an edge. Get that sharpened up and ready to go at Pro Edge Sharpening Services. And certainly check them out online at proedge.com. We are streaming live today on Daily Dodge TV on dailydodge.com, and we will have more of your questions via phone and text with the garden doctor, Dick Sondag, from Junk Garden Center when Hometown Today continues here on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
It started
Getting to know your friends and neighbors, this is Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Welcome back to Hometown Today, presented by Professional Floor Covering, your floor and so much more, and brought to you in part by McKinstry's Home Furnishings in beautiful historic downtown Beaver Dam. Amy Hudson in the Summerland Furniture Studios, along with Dick Zondag, the garden doctor from Jung Garden Center. We are also streaming live today on Daily Dodge TV at dailydodge.com. Certainly ring us up with those questions that you have for the garden doctor at 885-4446. 885-4446 is the studio line. And you can also text us. Jeff Hall, who is producing the show today, is keeping an eye on the text line for us at 887-9595. That's 887-9595 for your texts. This is it. Like, it really feels like spring finally, Dick. So we're ready to get out and play this weekend, especially Sunday. Looks beautiful. Just a lot of sunshine and 70. So what can we be doing now, like with those perennials? And you'd also mentioned off-air fall bulbs.
Yeah, the perennials are starting to waken up now, and so it's time, if you've mulched them, it's time to get that mulch off, because you don't want them growing under the mulch. And then a shot of a well-balanced fertilizer will get them off to a good start. And then, if they're established, I think probably the moisture that we've been getting is enough, so you don't really have to water them much. But getting the the weeds have also survived the winter, so get the weeds out of them while they're still young and not getting into seed. And then with the daffodils and tulips, not so much, because they're still in pretty good shape. But the daffodils are starting to look a little peaked. You can deadhead those if you want. But you don't want to remove the leaves, because you want the leaves to put the carbohydrates back into the bulb, because it's taken energy for those bulbs to flower. And boy, they were glorious this spring.
We had our daffodils were the best this past spring.
I don't think I've ever had nicer daffodils than we did this year. My yard was really, really beautiful. And so... probably a good idea, if you've got a bulb booster type fertilizer, to give them another shot of that while they're producing the carbohydrates that they need to get into the bulbs, and you wait until the leaves start to turn brown before you remove them. But I also recommend, if you've got them in a flower garden where you're putting annuals in, to plant the annuals maybe in another week or so, because what will happen then is the annuals will establish while the daffodils are putting those replenishments into the bulbs, and by the time the daffodils leaves start to turn brown and can be removed, the annuals are already growing and established and taking off and growing, and so they'll take over and produce the color that you need for the summer. Annuals really do a glorious job of keeping color in the yard, and there's been a lot of work on breeding new varieties, and the zinnias are so easy to grow. You can plant profusion seed, and that produces a ground cover that the weeds won't come through, and the flowers actually, as they die, the new flowers come and cover them up. So you can have a perpetual, colorful flower border down your sidewalk or beside your driveway all summer long by using the profusion zinnias, or the calibrachoas also make good ground covers. And the wave petunias now are different colors, all different colors, and you don't have to plant that many, because the wave, it's very true. You plant them 2 to 2.5 feet apart, and by the time they're midsummer, they've filled in, and again, they do the same thing. They cover up the old flowers with new flowers, and if they start to look a little ratty towards the end of summer, you just go in with a head shears and cut them back, and fertilize them, and they start to grow again, and now the fall will just be another set of flowers. So
okay, that is good to know.
Always something you can do to keep those flowers coming.
Yeah, because they do start to look a little ratty there towards
Yeah,
the
they do.
end of summer.
They're actually forming, and annuals are defined as a plant that goes from seed to seed in 1 year. And so once they start to produce viable seed, they start to go downhill. And so what you're doing is cutting off their seed so they, oh no, I got to get growing so I get more seed. And away they go. So,
And they're so beautiful.
same way with hanging baskets. When they start to look a little ratty, you just go in and you cut a few of the oldest branches or stems off and fertilize them and water them, and they'll start growing again and produce more flowers, and they'll look really, really good.
That's good to know. I always get a little nervous when I go in to snip stuff off. So now I feel reassured there's no need to be
there's
nervous
no need
about
to
that.
worry about it.
Okay.
You just put those in the compost pile, which will produce nice soils for you next year.
Excellent. The garden doctor, Dick Zondag with John Garden Center, is with us here this morning on Hometown Today. We will return with more of your calls and texts. Studio line open for you at 885-4446. And of course, the text line open for you also at 887-9595. Hometown Today brought to you in part by McKinstry's Home Furnishings in beautiful historic downtown Beaver Dam, and presented by Professional Floor Covering Your Floor, and so much more. This is Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Shower.
.53 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Good morning and happy Wednesday. Welcome back to Hometown Today here on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. Amy Hudson here with you in the Slumberland Furniture Studio. We are also streaming live this morning from the Daily Dodge TV studio, so you can check us out on dailydodge.com and definitely hit us with those questions. The garden doctor, Dick Zondag with John Garden Center, with us today on Hometown Today. So ring us up with your questions at 885-4446. 885-4446. And a thank you to Jeff Hall, who's producing the show today and keeping an eye on the text line for us at 887-9595. The text line, 887-9595. And of course, everything is open. Everything is ready to go at Jung Garden Center. And for folks that don't know, Dick, you have quite a few locations in our area. You're primarily in the Randolph store.
Right. That's kind of the headquarters of the whole business. But yeah,
Big headquarters.
We have garden centers, 2 in Madison, 1 in Sun Prairie, 1 in Stoughton, and 1 in Stevens Point. So it keeps us busy with hauling materials to the garden centers, and they're starting to get real busy now, and the mail order is starting to slow down. So
Okay.
the two businesses work very, very well together. So it's not all at one time. You know, the mail orders earlier, and the garden center thing now is open up, and boy, we've got almost everything you can want. As I said, we were eating asparagus last night, so it's time to get the asparagus roots in the ground, and we've got new varieties of asparagus where they're mostly male plants, and so they if you do it right, maybe the second spring you'll have asparagus to eat. Boy, it was good last night. Boy, those first fresh vegetables coming out of the garden are really, really good. So
Yeah, they are.
yeah, I got radishes planted, and I got carrots, and of course the onions and potatoes are in, and the broccoli and Brussels sprouts are also planted, and maybe in another week or so I'll be planting the beans and some of the other vegetables. It's still a little bit too early for the vining, the cucumbers and squash and things like that. When the soil is cold, they don't germinate very rapidly, and because they have a lot of carbohydrates in the seed, they do tend to rot in the soil. So you want to wait. Either want to start them early indoors in peat pots so you can plant them out, because they don't like to have the roots disturbed too much. And so if you're going to plant them from seed, you want to wait probably until the middle of May,
Okay.
and then put them out. And then we also dust the seed with Captan. It's a soil fungicide. It'll keep the fungus away from the seeds until they've germinated. But the summer squash and those sorts of things are always really good.
Yeah, they really are. We are going to head back to the phones and go to caller 1. Good morning. You are on the air with the Garden Doctor.
Hello.
Hello. You're on the air.
Yeah, when can you start picking rhubarb?
Oh, good question. I've been wondering about that too.
Yeah, I think once the leaves are mature, they've started to unfurl, and once the stalks are mature height, you can start cutting them, and you can pull them off from the base. I would say when they reach about a foot or a little bit more, and the stalks are nice and red, then you can start pulling them off and using them.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to use the leaves, though. The leaves should go in the compost pile. The leaves can be poisonous, actually. So,
Yeah, those are
you don't want
dangerous.
You don't want to use the leaves for anything but compost. But the stalks are really, really good, and good rhubarb pie is always excellent.
Yeah, absolutely. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
What do you like to do with your rhubarb?
Well, usually just make a sauce, or sometimes some type of a dessert.
Yeah, it's good anyway.
Very, very versatile. And rhubarb is a heavy feeder too, so you want it every once in a while in the wintertime too.
That's a
so,
treat.
Rhubarb sauce, rhubarb pie.
Yeah.
And you can't beat it.
No, it's great. And I just saw a recipe recently for a rhubarb pound cake, which I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
looked really good.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking about like what I might like for my special treat on Mother's Day. The garden doctor, Dick Zondag with Jung Garden Center, is with us this morning here on Hometown Today. Certainly give us a call with your questions, 885-4446. And you can also text those questions in at 887-9595. Is rhubarb hard to grow?
No, very, very
Okay.
easy, actually. And in fact, it's one of the plants that needs to be divided occasionally.
Because
Like
it
every
really takes off?
every 3 to 4 years, you should be dividing your rhubarb, because once it grows and starts to grow, and you fertilize it so it grows really well, the middle of the rhubarb will tend to rot, and what you'll find is that you get a lot of flowering stalks coming out of it. And once you start getting flower stalks, it means that the plant is under a little bit of stress, and so then you want to divide it. And rhubarb is real easy to divide. You do it in spring. It's really, I think, a little bit late to divide it right now, but in the early spring, as soon as the soil thaws out, you just take a sharp shovel and you dig half of it out right down the middle of the clump and chop it in half, and then I always say you throw the half away that you dig out, so you don't put us out of business.
Oh my
But
goodness.
rhubarb grows really, really fast, and it likes manure, or chemical fertilizer works really, really well too. I have my rhubarb planted right next to my asparagus bed, because I can use a high nitrogen fertilizer on those two plants really easily, and they grow much better together.
It's good to know.
Yep.
The garden doctor, Dick Zondag with Jung Garden Center, is with us this morning. Studio lines open for your calls with your questions at 885-4446. And the text line also open for you at 887-9595. Now all I can think about is vanilla ice cream with rhubarb sauce on it. That sounds
That's
really, really good.
Yeah.
And everything is open, ready to be shopped at Jung's Garden Center. Of course, Mother's Day is coming up fast next Sunday. And in addition to folks really being able to find everything they need to help them make sure their plants get off to a good start, you have such a knowledgeable staff at Jung Garden Center to answer questions for folks.
You don't need the garden doctor in the garden center.
We always need the garden doctor.
We have good people working in the garden centers, and if there's something that stumps them, they know somebody that, they know people that they can ask in the call center. And we try to provide not only a product, but the information. We have a lot of informational pamphlets. We have a lot of garden guides on our website. If you have a question on something that we sell, we probably have a planting guide on that on our website in our garden library. Been going over a lot of those lately and getting them up to snuff, so that if you have a question about planting carrots, or about how you do your rhubarb, or how you grow strawberries, or a lot of different things on there. Not only the Garden Doctor videos, but we have informational pamphlets on how to get them started. So we try to provide not only a product but a service also.
That's so important, because it is time, it's money, and all that love that goes into those plants in the garden.
You want people to have as much success as possible with your products, and we feel that by providing more information to them, they're going to have better luck with our stuff, and so they'll come back to us. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the website. We want to make sure folks know that is jungseed.com. And also, we want people to know that the Garden Doctor is on YouTube, so they can follow and subscribe to you on YouTube as well. You'll be shooting a video later today about potatoes, so we look forward to checking that out.
Do some how to start. I mean, I've got some already planted, but we're testing out using cardboard between the rows to keep the weeds down.
I'm
So,
interested to know how you think that works. Like in the
Yeah,
next few
it-
weeks, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, what we're going to do is the potatoes will go into the soil because they like to be in the soil. But instead of covering them with soil, I'm covering them with compost because compost has a little bit more nutrients in it, get them off to a better start. And then between the rows, we're going to put cardboard down and wood chips over the cardboard and then fertilizer over that. But I'm going to be putting straw over the potatoes because instead of hilling up around the plants to keep those potatoes from turning green, I'm going to be putting probably about a foot of straw over top of them, and then they'll
Wow.
grow right through that. And then the potato tubers themselves will either be right at ground level or just below ground level because the potatoes, once they start to grow, the tubers will never be deeper than the piece that you planted, and so it's all in that surface area. And by having plenty of organic matter there and having the straw to cover them up and the compost to get them started, and then the cardboard and wood chips to inhibit weeds from growing. Weeding is not my favorite activity.
Mine either. No.
But by putting cardboard down, that makes a barrier so that even if you've got perennial weeds that are in your garden and covering them with wood chips, that keeps the weeds down. And also going to put some fertilizer on top of the wood chips because you want to give them some extra nutrients because the microorganisms in the soil that break down the cardboard and break down the wood chips need those extra nutrients to grow and to multiply. And that way, next spring you can just work that organic matter into the soil. So we'll see how it works out.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it'll work really well because there are a lot of people that do it that way. And so, always something new to try.
That's right. Why not? You don't know until you try it.
No,
We are going to head to the phones and we're going to go to line 1. Good morning. You're on the air with the Garden Doctor.
Hello.
Good
I have
morning.
2 questions. First question, am I too late to trim my apple trees? Because they're full bloom right now.
Yeah, I think what I would do right now is just wait until the leaves are out and they've matured, and then you can go in and do some selective pruning. But the better time would have been either in the fall after the apples and the leaves have dropped or up until about this point. I think if you prune them now, I mean, it's not going to really hurt the tree significantly if you do it now, but you'll get a lot more sap running, and I think probably wait for another 2 or 3 weeks and then you can do some pruning, but better time is when the tree is dormant.
My second question, I've got a couple Honeycrisp apple trees, and
Okay.
the apples seem to grow in clumps of 2 and 3, and they get so big that they push each other off the stem.
Right?
Should I pick some of them off before that happens?
Yes, you'll get nicer apples if you do that too, because the tree only has a certain amount of juice that it can produce, and if you have too many apples on the tree, it really does deplete the reserves of the tree. So if you get 2 or 3 apples on a spur, go through and selectively take 1 or 2 of them off, because it'll not only keep them from pushing each other off, but it'll make much larger fruit that will store much better also.
Thank you very much.
Yep, thanks for calling.
Thank you. 885-4446 is the studio line, 885-4446, and the text line, 887-9595. Dick Zondag, the Garden Doctor from Jung Garden Center, is with us here this morning on Hometown Today, and we will take another call on line 2. Good morning. You're on the air with the Garden Doctor.
Thank you. Hydrangeas is what I want to talk about.
All right.
Okay, the pink ones. I came over about a week and a half ago. I was going to get a white one. Now I decided I'm just going to take some off the shrub I have.
Okay.
But I would buy a pink one. Do you have them? At that time, there was nothing in bare root, and you did not have the potted shrubs out yet. Do you have the pink ones available at Randolph now?
Oh, boy. If we have it, it will be available in Randolph because we have everything that everybody else has. But the potted ones are out now.
They are.
We've brought them out over the last week or so, and so the hydrangeas should be there.
Okay, thank you. Now, there's several in the catalog. Do you think you have them all there, or of the pinks, or just a couple different kinds?
No, we should have most of them that are in the catalog. A lot of times we'll get new varieties that weren't available to us to grow on, but I think we have most of the varieties that are in the catalog also in the garden center potted area.
Okay, any suggestions on which would be the best? The Strawberry Sundae was one listed.
Strawberry Sundae, I think, is one of the PGs, and Paniculated grandifloras, and that's the one I have in my yard. I'm not a huge hydrangea fan.
Why is
You're
that?
not.
Oh, because
But they
there's so
blossom
many
all
different
summer.
kinds
They
and-
blossom all summer is why what
Yeah.
I like.
Well-
Rather than a lilac, it's beautiful. And,
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the hydrangeas do flower in the summertime, and it makes for a really pretty display. But there are so many different hydrangeas now, and some of them blossom on old wood, some of them blossom on new wood. Some of them bloom in early summer, some bloom in midsummer, some in fall. And if you don't know exactly the genus and species that you're planting,
Some of the, if my whites that I have, I can just cut an edge off and transplant that too, right?
yeah, the Annabelle, I think if it's a white one, it's probably Annabelle, which is an
Annabelle, and then I might have another one that's Incredible also.
Yep,
I don't-
Incredible is also an arborescens variety, and that
It's
one,
the Annabelle that I was planning on
yeah, the
taking a hunk
Annabelle.
off the edge.
See, some of them will throw out root suckers, and those you can cut a piece off and they'll be just fine. But there are some that don't do that. The Paniculated grandifloras do not do that. Those are propagated from cuttings, and so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks. I'll make another trip then to get a pink one.
Okay. Thank you for calling.
Thank you. 885-4446 is the studio line, 885-4446. And of course, you can text your questions to the Garden Doctor at 887-9595. Is it tough to have success with hydrangeas to maintain that color in some of those varieties?
Some of the varieties have to have an acid soil.
Okay.
And so it means doing the same thing you do with blueberries or azaleas and rhododendrons. You have to acidify the soil with sulfur or with aluminum sulfate or one of the elements that makes the soils sour, because Wisconsin sits on a big piece of limestone, and limestone gives off bicarbonates, and which makes the soil very sweet. And
Okay.
if you have sweet soil, they're pink, and if they're and I think if it's acid soil, they're blue.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's the correct way. But like I said, I'm not a huge hydrangea expert, and there are so many of them now. I mean, it's just they've been crossing and doing lots of things with hydrangeas and coming out with new ones almost every year, and it's hard to keep up with them.
Yeah, and it's hard to keep up with the one that I have in my main flower garden. It's huge, and I get nervous about cutting it back. Can I just cut that back?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Do it now?
You do it right after it blossoms. Is
Okay.
usually the rule of thumb. If it blooms, and that's true with any shrubs that bloom. If they bloom before the 1st of July, it means that the flower buds were already on the plant in the fall. And so if you prune in the fall or in the winter or in the early spring, you're cutting your flowers off. That would be like forsythia and mock oranges and lilacs and some of the hydrangeas. Some of them, and you can tell if it's going to be a flower bud if you look at the stem. At the tip of the stem, if the bud is really fat compared to the ones that are down on the stem, that means that's a flower bud.
Okay.
I mean, that's true of lilacs and stuff too. You can pick out the flower buds very easily from the stems, the leaf buds, and so pruning is mainly after the thing flowers, and if it flowers in the summertime, you can cut them back in the spring, and they blossom on new wood then, and so. It's like roses. Most roses, with the exception of the climbing roses, blossom on new wood. So you can prune them back in the spring and you're going to have flowers.
Okay, good. The garden doctor, Dick Zondag with Junk Garden Center, with us here this morning on Hometown Today. Phones open for your questions at 885-4446, and you can also text us those questions at 887-9595. And we are going to head to line 1. Good morning. You're on the air with the garden doctor.
Good morning. I have a strawberry question.
Okay.
I uncovered my strawberries last week, Thursday.
Okay.
And by yesterday, all of my friendly little bunnies must have been there and ate off all the fresh leaves on them. My question is, if I cover them up, will those leaves come back, and will I probably maybe get strawberries this year?
Yeah, the strawberry plants will regenerate leaves from the crown, and the flower buds are there. They're going to come anyway, so you'll have fruit. You probably should put a little fence or something around them so that keep the bunnies out of it.
I did have a little fence around them because I planted them new last year, and I had the fence around them last year already. But somehow or another, something got in, and I live in the middle of a town, so I don't think it'd be deer, but who knows? But yeah, they wiped them out pretty good.
Give them a little fertilizer
Okay.
to encourage them to start growing, but the leaves will come back from the crown, and the flower buds are still there, so they probably will grow also.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thanks for calling.
Good luck with those bunnies. My parents used to put sawdust at the end of some of their garden rows to help with the bunny issue. What can folks do to prevent that? That's sad. I can't imagine how her heart must have sank when she saw that.
Yeah, a fence is really the only. I mean, there are some. It's a fungicide that you can spray the leaves with. It makes it bitter to the taste. Mm-hmm. But there again, you'd have to read the label to make sure that there's a reentry period. You know.
Why can't the bunnies just eat the dandelions?
Yeah.
That would be helpful.
Yeah. No, those dandelions are something else.
They really are.
And actually, now that we're talking about dandelions, it is time to get out there with the broadleaf killer now.
Okay.
The Weed Beater Ultra is the chemical of choice for me, I guess you'd say. It's one that will not only work when the weather is warm, but it works when the weather is cold. And those lawn weeds like Creeping Charlie and dandelions and some of the things are starting to grow now, and that's when you want to hit them with this chemical, and it tells you on there how much you put on per square foot, or 100 square feet, and then what you do is you get a sprinkling can or a sprayer, and you want to apply that much chemical to that number of square feet. It's not how much per gallon you put in the sprayer, it's how much you put on per square foot. And so what you do is you fill your sprayer and figure out how much square footage you can cover with the sprayer, and then you put that amount of chemical in the sprayer, and then you spray the area. I guess with me, I've got just a few dandelions in my lawn, and so I treat individual areas. I don't treat the whole garden, the whole lawn. But if you've got a lot of dandelions, now's the time to get them with either a weed and feed or with just a straight application of a good herbicide that takes the broadleaf weeds out, but doesn't take the grass out.
I don't know if you caught this on the 95.3 WBEV morning show this morning, but Justin the Ninja Wilski, who is running the controls for us down here in the Daily Dodge TV studios, before they treated their dandelions in their yard, they went out and picked a bunch and they made dandelion jam. So I'm hoping that Ninja, you bring some of that in for all of your teammates to sample. All right, we're getting an okay. The Garden Doctor, Dick Zondag with John Garden Center, with us here this morning on Hometown Today. Happy to take your calls and answer your questions at 885-4446, and you can also send those in via text at 887-9595. Hometown Today brought to you in part by McKinstry's Home Furnishings in beautiful historic downtown Beaver Dam, and presented by Professional Floor Covering, your floor, and so much more. And today, with it being May 1st, it's official. It is the May Gold Tag Sale at Professional Floor Covering. Everything in the store is on sale, and this is your go-to place for those top brands of flooring for every look and need throughout your home. And they can easily help you upgrade your kitchen with cabinets, flooring, of course, countertops, and don't forget about the bathroom. Doesn't have to be stressful. They can make that easy for you with the latest waterproof flooring, that walk-in shower that you've always wanted, vanity, and countertop. Just check it all off of the list. Head over to the beautiful showroom for your in-store consultation, 713 Park Avenue in Beaver Dam, and online all the time at PROFLR.com. More with Dick Zondag, the Garden Doctor with John Garden Center, when Hometown Today continues here on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Hey, it's Randy from Professional Floor Covering, bringing together friends and neighbors on Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Welcome back to The Garden Doctor here on Hometown Today. This is a paid program. Advice and opinions expressed during the program are solely that of Jung Garden Center, not WBEV or Good Karma Brands. And we do have The Garden Doctor with us this morning. Dick Zondag with Jung Garden Center is with us. Happy to take your calls and answer your questions. Make sure you're doing things the right way. So ring us up on the studio line at 885-4446, 885-4446. And you can also text those questions in. Jeff Hall producing the show today, and happy to keep an eye on the text line for us at 887-9595, 887-9595. And we are also streaming live on Daily Dodge today as we broadcast live in the Daily Dodge TV studio. Are you ready for another question? All right, we're going to head to line one. Oh, wait, we have a text. Jeff Hall, let's hear the text message. Thank you for keeping an eye on that for us.
Hi, kids.
Hello.
Kim would like to know about the rhubarb in the center. If it's going to seed is stressed, is a person supposed to split the plant to de-stress it?
Well, first off, you want to take that flower stalk off because that's taking away from the plant. But I would not divide it right now. But then in fall, after the leaves start wilting and dropping, then that's when you can divide it. And what you do is you just take a shovel and you stick it right down the middle of the clump and dig half of it out. Leave the area that you cut, the surface that you cut, exposed to the sunlight, because that'll callus over. And then in 3 or 4 days, put the dirt back around it and then fertilize it so that it grows nicely again, and that will rejuvenate it really well.
Okay. And fertilizing is so important, whether it's for the garden or for the lawn. And we're going to be busting out the mower for the first time this season later today. What are some of those things that we should be mindful of when it comes to fertilizing the garden and the lawn?
Okay, well, with the lawn, grass grows mainly in the spring and in the fall, in the cool part of the season. I think everybody knows if it's hot and dry in the summertime, your lawns get really stressed and stop growing. So you want to fertilize the lawn when it's growing its most. And so right now, a good fertilization would help significantly, especially if your lawn isn't thick. Because if you've got a thick lawn, if it's growing really well now, those weeds are not going to have a chance to germinate and grow in it.
Oh,
and even,
good.
Even the dandelions have a tough time in a thick lawn. And crabgrass, of course, is one that everybody has trouble with. But if you've got a nice thick lawn, you won't have crabgrass because it won't have room to germinate. The soil is covered with regular bluegrass or fescue, and it will not germinate. So you don't even need to use crabgrass preventer. With your garden, of course, it's good to fertilize the garden, but you don't want to use the same type of fertilizer for your garden as you do for your lawn. The lawn, you want to make it grow, so you want to use a fertilizer that's higher in nitrogen, where with a garden, you want the garden to be at a rich soil, but not overly rich, because if you use a lawn fertilizer on your garden, you'd have the most beautiful growing garden. Your carrot tops would be twice as big, and your tomatoes would grow like crazy, but the root part of it wouldn't grow at all because it's putting all its energy into growing tops. So if the way that I fertilize my garden is I put the nutrients into my compost pile and get them breaking down the organic matter that I put in the compost pile, and then when I add the compost to the garden, those nutrients are there, and they're in an organic form, and they do a really nice job of keeping your garden nice and green. And the best indicator in a garden, if your garden is growing well, is the color of the leaves. If the leaves are a nice dark green, there are probably plenty of nutrients there. The only the only vegetable that I fertilize during the season are onions, because onions have a very restricted root system. And so both watering and fertilizing onions will pay dividends, especially getting them growing early in the summer, fertilizing them, watering them when it's hot and dry so that they grow a lot in the springtime and in the early summer. And then along about the end of July, the beginning of August, you stop doing that, because that's when the day length tells the onions it's time to start bulbing up. And so you don't want to over-fertilize them with nitrogen in the fall, because then they put more energy into the tops rather than into the bulbing. So you get the nice softball-sized onions. And so I've got trickle irrigation on my onions, and planted them about 2 weeks ago and fertilized them. They've been fertilized once already, and they'll probably get another shot through the irrigation line probably next week.
Do you have? How does the irrigation line work? Do you have that on a timer, or
It's going to be on a timer.
Okay.
Again, I'm lazy. I don't
Oh, my
want to have to
goodness.
worry about that.
Hardly.
But it's on a faucet. You know, you have a way of hooking the drip tube into the water line, and then you just turn it on and let it run for about a half hour, and that thoroughly soaks the soil up. And with watering, no matter what you're watering, whether it's houseplants or your lawn or your garden, you want to water heavy and then let it dry out between waterings, because the roots have to breathe as well as the tops. And so if you're watering a little bit every day, or every other day, you're plugging those soil pores up with water, the roots are not breathing properly, and you get root rots that way. So you want to water heavy. You give them an inch a week, and then let them dry out between waterings, and that's the best way to water plants.
Okay, good to know. I think I may have been doing it wrong all these years, giving them a little bit every day.
No, you just if you're with houseplants, you want to feel the soil. If the soil is moist, you let it dry out.
Okay.
And then you water heavy, and then you let it dry out again.
Don't worry if it's looking a little wilty, because that just means it needs water, right?
Yep, exactly.
Okay. The garden doctor, Dick Zondag with Jung Garden Center, is with us this morning on Hometown Today. Ring us up with your questions at 885-4446, 885-4446. And you can also text us at 887-9595, 887-9595. Make sure that you subscribe and follow the garden doctor on YouTube. And you can also take a look at all of their locations in our area when you visit the website at jungseed.com. The garden doctor, primarily out of the Randolph location, and share those store hours for folks. Everything is open and ready to be shopped at Jung Garden Center.
Yeah, the greenhouse is bulging at the seams. In Randolph, we have store hours are 8 to 5 Monday through Saturday. It's pretty easy, and we're not open on Sunday. With the Madison stores, the Stevens Point store, it's 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 on Saturday, and 10 to 4 on Sunday. So, we're open for business, and we've got a lot of vegetable plants ready to go, and a lot of them can be planted now. The cole crops don't need to be protected unless it's going to get down into the mid-20s.
Well, and you had mentioned in the first segment something about the last frost, and then I had asked you off air, like, oh my goodness, are we still in that frost zone? Because I do make the mistake every year of planting a few things before Mother's Day, and then I have to go out and cover everything up. I just leave that stash of sheets and towels in the garage. But you had shared some specific dates, Dick, of those frost dates that we really should still be mindful of.
Yeah, if you go to the Farmer's Almanac site, www.farmersalmanac.com, and they have the first frost in fall and the last frost in the springtime. You just put your zip code in, and they will give you an approximation. Now, there's always exceptions to this, but I think the last frost for this area is the 5th through the 10th of May.
Okay.
But I've had, I mean, we've had frost later than that, but that's usually the time that you can start setting out the tender plants like the tomatoes and peppers and eggplants and things like that. And then if we are going to go down past 32 degrees or into the mid 30s even, a sheet or something, you just put a couple stakes in the ground so that you hold them off the plants, and then just throw a sheet over it, because usually on those nights that it's going to be cold, there's not much wind. And so you just drape the sheet or the plastic over the plants, and then in the morning after the sun comes up, it's time to get them off, and away they go again.
And Mother's Day weekend, next weekend, is always a fun weekend for those of us that are moms to get out and, start planting things in the garden, get those flower boxes and all of our pots full. And Junk Garden Center, of course, the go-to place to get those gifts for mom. You have so many beautiful hanging baskets.
Hanging baskets. We've got all kinds of annuals and perennials that can be purchased. And if you're not sure what your mother wants, we also have gift cards.
That's the perfect thing to do. That's on my list if my husband's listening. The studio line's open for your calls. If you have questions for the Garden Doctor, please ring us up at 885-4446, 885-4446. And Jeff Hall, who's producing the show for us today, keeping an eye on that text line at 887-9595, 887-9595. We have covered a lot of things there this morning. Dick, what else would you like to talk about before we wrap up the show today?
I think we've covered pretty much all the ground. I mean, pruning, probably too late to do that now for a couple of weeks, because you don't want to make those trees bleed too much. And but the grass is growing like crazy. And,
it really is. You said you couldn't get your mower started last night. Are you going to try again today?
Oh, yes, I'll get it going today. Yeah.
After you finish filming that video about potatoes that folks can check out on YouTube.
We're going to do a couple of videos today before I get started some peas in the greenhouse. So we're going to get those planted and maybe put some seeds in too, so you can see the difference between starting them indoors. I don't think I've kind of wondered why people would start peas indoors, but we're going to try and see how much difference it makes to get those things out of the ground, because peas like a cold ground to germinate in, and they usually come up pretty good. But the ones in the greenhouse are probably 3-4 inches high now.
Wow.
So we'll get some kind of a trellis or something to train them on, so I don't have to bend down and pick them up off the ground.
That's a lot of work. The peas and also beans. I remember picking beans in the garden with my parents, and then my brother and I would have to snap the beans, and then we would shell all the peas. And while that is really hard work, you appreciate those efforts, when it gets to be fall and winter and you can enjoy those.
They freeze real easily. And, with the peas, I've got some of the edible potted peas and some of the snap peas that you can eat them just like
those
you
are
eat
great.
They're the sweet peas, and then some that you shell. So we're going to have all three types of peas in our garden this summer, and I'm going to have some kind of an arching trellis to train them on, so we can pick them easier.
I would love to see your garden. If you ever feel like taking pictures and sharing them with us, we could easily do that here from the Daily Dodge TV studios. I cannot believe that you use the word lazy to describe some of the things that you do, because you are an overachiever in so many ways. When you talk about all the things that you already have in and the different things that you have going, you're a fan of those raised garden beds too.
Yep. In fact, we're going to probably build another one in the next couple of weeks. I've got two of them that the one is planted with onions and that sort of stuff, and I'll be doing some more planting in those raised bed, showing. We're going to videotape that too. Showing them how you have to regenerate the soil a little bit before you plant, because when you do take a crop of something out of that, bed, you've got to put those nutrients back, and you do that by putting compost, mixing that into the top 4 or 5 inches, and yeah, so.
There's always something to keep busy with when you're
Yeah.
outside playing in the garden. Studio line open if you have a question for the Garden Doctor at 885-4446 and our text line 887-9595. Dick Zondag, the Garden Doctor, joins us here Wednesday mornings from 9:30 until 11 here on Hometown Today. And really, Junk Garden Center is the go-to for anything that folks are going to need when it comes to what they need for gardening, whether it's actually digging things, planting in the dirt, or you're doing some raised bed gardens, or you just want some beautiful hanging baskets and some pretty flowers.
It's a pretty area now with the greenhouse. The hanging baskets are just glorious now, and they really add color
And they last. There's
Oh,
so
yeah,
many. We were
yeah.
talking about the wave petunias earlier, and those have become, a favorite of mine just over the past couple of seasons because
Yeah,
they
they-
do give you that longevity.
They're waves of color. I mean, that's exactly why they call them wave petunias.
Yeah.
And the old petunias, you'd have to plant them, 15 inches, 12 to 15 inches apart, and they would cover up. The wave petunias, you can go 24 to 30 inches apart, and by the middle of the summer, if you fertilize them and pinch them so that they branch out, they'll have a whole area covered, a whole square yard covered with color. And those flowers tend to cover, when the new flowers come, they tend to cover up the old flowers. So, yeah, the annuals are really, really nice now.
I'm ready to get busy outside. We do have another text question. Jeff, what do you have for the Garden Doctor?
Mike would like to know, is it too early to put tomato plants out?
If you're going to protect them,
Okay.
no, it's not too early to put them out. A lot of people will put down black plastic 2 or 3 weeks ago, and what that does is the black plastic absorbs the sunlight and heats the soil up underneath it. And then you can either take the black plastic off and plant the plants, or you just cut an X in the black plastic and put the plant through it. The only caveat to planting those tender vegetables now is if we do get a cold snap, you will have to cover them at night. And there again, it's very simple, just a blanket or a bed sheet or something over them. Hot caps, we probably could have planted them 2 weeks ago if you put a hot cap on them, and that's just a plastic dome that you put over them, and that acts sort of like a greenhouse so that the soil heats up, and then it keeps the heat in the evening so that you don't have to worry about getting a late frost. So, yeah, if you want to get the tomatoes and peppers and those sorts of things going, you can plant them now with the caveat that you cover them if we do get the cold weather.
Okay, very good. And we do have a call on line 1, so this will be our last call for the Garden Doctor this morning. Good morning. You are on the air with the Garden Doctor.
Thank you very much. I was wondering, we stopped at Randolph to look for a bridal wreath spirea.
Okay.
And they didn't have any. But my question was, the lady said, well, that deer really like spireas. Now, I had never heard that. Is this true that deer like to chew on them?
Deer will chew on anything, actually. I don't know that it's that they're attracted to spireas, but, deer will eat anything. And I know that we have bridal spirea potted now.
Okay.
But if the bare root if we didn't have any in the bare root, we'll have it as a potted plant. And whether they're more susceptible to deer damage, I don't think they're any more susceptible to deer damage than any of the other plants that you have in your garden.
Okay, and then we had gotten a couple of the autumn blaze maple trees last October, and they're about 12 feet tall. Would that be better to cut off those tiny branches at the bottom in the fall? Because I know you've said that wherever the branch comes out, that's the height it's going to be at forever.
That's correct. And if it's 12 feet tall, you can start pruning off those side branches. I probably would wait a couple of weeks till the tree matures a little bit, till the leaves have matured. But, then you can go in and cut those side branches off.
Okay, because there's a lot of them down that definitely would be, and head catcher when you mow lawn on.
No, you want to get the crown of the tree up high enough so that you don't have to worry about it when you're mowing your lawn, because if they're too low, you tend to, especially if you don't have some kind of a border around the tree, you tend to hit it with your lawnmower, and you don't want to bruise that bark too much when the tree is young like this. It can cause problems later on. But pruning them up so that you can easily work under the tree is the best way to do it.
Okay, and then the third question I had was, can you recommend any bush that would flower a little later? I mean, you have your lilacs in the spring, and you have your mock orange, and you have your spireas in June. Is there anything that is a nice flowering plant that's a little later? Yeah,
potentilla is one of the most popular summer blooming bushes. There are some spireas that bloom in the summertime, the gold flame spirea. I hate to recommend hydrangeas, but there are some summer flowering hydrangeas. The ones, the PGs that have the pyramidal clusters are real pretty. They get pink flowers on them. If you come into the store and ask about it, we can show you a lot of the plants that will bloom in the summertime.
Okay, well, thank you so very, very much.
Thank you for calling.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
I'm already looking forward to next Wednesday. Dick Zondag, the garden doctor with Junk Garden Center, joins us here on Hometown Today, Wednesdays from 9:30 until 11. This has been a paid program. Advice and opinions expressed during the program are solely that of Junk Garden Center, not WBEV or Good Karma Brands.